Recording now. Okay, so now after the assassination of Stolpin, there was a turbulent time in Russia from 1911 to 1914. Extreme unrest happened, and 1914 another tragedy had struck Russia. Tragedy because of the Tsar Nicholas II. Why? Because World War started in 1914, and Russia went against the Central Power. Central Power means the Germany, the Ottoman Empire, and the Austrian Habsburg Empire. And the other side, we had France, we had Britain, and we had Russia. Now, when Russia declared war against Germany and participated in war, people were again fed up. And you won't believe there were 17 lakh people. This is the official figure that I know. There can be some, uh, you know, changes in the data also, but officially around 17 lakh Russian died because of this decision to participate in the World War One. Now, what happened? All the resources were diverted towards the army. All the grain production, the food which was meant for people, that was also diverted towards the army. Everything, all the national resources were diverted towards the army, and there were famine in Russia for very longer period of time. Millions of people were already dying due to war efforts, and now people started dying due to the economic crisis that was hitting Russia, because it was diverting all the resources to war. Now by 1917, what happened? The king said, okay, fine, people are protesting, so uh, somebody is messaging me, Peter Stolpin. The tragedy is that Russia participated in the World War in spite of knowing its position that it was not so strong at that time. 85% of Russian population during these times was involved in agriculture, so it was an agrarian economy. And you would be surprised to know there were only 500 factories during the Tsar Nicholas time in whole Russia. Imagine how big Russia was that time. I mean, still it's the largest country in the world, but at that time it was even bigger because it controlled the areas of what today now we have: Latvia, Lithuania, Ukraine, Georgia, Armenia, and many Central Asian countries. So you can imagine the magnanimous size of Russia, and you know it needed food. All the resources were diverted, and this was the tragedy. Now people again started protesting. That why people started saying that we need to have some reforms. We need certain we need certain amount of food to eat. So people started saying to this particular fellow Tsar Nicholas that you should abdicate your throne, and you should let the government come in. There should be some representatives from the people. Now what happened? He said that okay, fine, I will abdicate my throne, but for my brother Michael. Okay. Now what Michael did, his brother said that no, I don't want to become the king. And later on, one person comes, and his name, remember this name, his name was Alexander Kerensky. Okay, I think I have written this name. Yes. So this guy comes in, and he says that I am the a new prime minister. I will take over, and I'll form the provisional government, like a temporary government. Now I would like to stop here for 10 seconds and would like to tell you something else. In 1895, or somewhere around that period, there was a new political party which was formed in Russia, and that political party had two groups. One was known as the revolutionaries. They were also called as the Bolsheviks. And another one, which was a liberal sort of a group, they wanted the democratic process to come in Russia. Like in India also, we had, you remember, we had extremist and pacifist. Same way in Russia also, they had uh, their Bolsheviks and Mensheviks. Now, Alexander Kerensky, who formed this government after Tsar abdicated his throne, he was from the Menshevik group. Okay, they were liberals. They wanted that the transition of power in Russia should take place through democratic means, and that should happen slowly and gradually. But on the other side, there was a group that was led by Vladimir Lenin, and that group said that no, we don't want these gradual processes. We want a complete revolution, and equality should be established using violence. So this group, these two groups were split in 1903, Mensheviks and the Bolsheviks. Now Kerensky was from the Menshevik groups. Okay, they were also called as the Social Democrats. And after he assumed power, now he came with a promise that okay, I will reform the Russian society, I will conduct elections. But after he became the prime minister, he acted like a chameleon. He did not do anything which he promised for. He did not call for elections, and he did not even withdraw the Russian troops from the World War One. He promised that I am going to withdraw Russia from World War One. He did not do so. He did not call election. Now when all this was happening, the Bolshevik, the other revolutionaries, got fed up, and they said that we need to bring this change in Russia. Our command should be centralized, and we should be more disciplined. The time has come to overthrow the government. Now I would like to take you back to the first slide. That was the date. Now February 1917, this is the date when Mensheviks came to power. The Alexander Kerensky, when he formed the government, this particular fellow, this was February 1917. So this was the first phase of revolution that happened much without violence. But after Kerensky formed the government and he took the U-turn, that I'm not going to do any I'm not going to fulfill any promise that I fulfilled. Then Bolsheviks got activated, and they said that the time has come for us to overthrow this Menshevik government and you know take the control of the power. So this revolution, the second phase of revolution, happened in October of 1917, when Kerensky was removed from the power and Bolsheviks took the control. So this is actually known as the second phase, or the most important phase, or we also call it as the when Red Army took control, or Red Guards took control of the Russian power. Now, as I told you that during this time, Lenin was leading. He was like a charismatic leader, and he gave lot of speeches. He wrote about Soviet ideology. He formed a military revolutionary council also. And in May 1917, he passed an order, final order, that the Russian army would work under his control. And after that, uh, on 24th of October, Bolsheviks took the crucial positions in the city, and they took over the all the main offices like banks, railroad, post offices, bridges, telephone lines, and by 25th of October, they had the control of even the Winter Palace, where ministers were stationed. They had controlled all the key buildings of St. Petersburg, which was the capital of Russia during that time, or it was known with a different name called as Petrograd. Okay, and after he takes the power, uh, Kerensky runs away. Okay, and Bolshevik was declared as the winner in Russian Revolution, but it was not an easy win. Now, from 1917 onwards to 1922, Russia went into a state of complete anarchy. Now, why complete anarchy? Because one, there was supporters of the czars. Okay, then on the another side we had Bolsheviks. Third side we had Mensheviks, And on the fourth side we had landlords, and you won't believe they had their own army. Bolsheviks had their red army, the supporters of the czar and the capitalist people, the landlords and the aristocrats, they had their white army. And Mensheviks and other social revolutionaries, they had their green army. So all three armies were fighting with each other. And you won't believe, these green army and red army, sorry, the white army and the green army were also supported by US, Britain, etc. But in spite of all that, the red army became the complete winner. And by 1922, very important year, uh, Russia became a Soviet Union. Okay, and it was for the first time the ideas of Karl Marx were implemented in Russia. And now, what happened after 1992? It was a complete end of monarchy. Okay, it was Bolshevik who came to power, right? And there were nationalization of resources. They abolished all the private property. They said that whatever property exists in the country, we are going to, nationalize it. Nobody owns any resources. All banks, industries, etc. now would be owned by the country or the government. Okay, and Russia became the communist country for the first time in the world, right? And equality in terms of social equality and economic equality was established in Russia, but it was not an easy win. Now, I would like to tell you something very interesting, which some of us are not aware. Uh, Lenin, the person who was responsible for this revolution, he died just 2 years after Russia became a communist state. In 1924, he died. Now, the person who took over after he died, his name was Joseph Stalin. Now, Joseph Stalin was not the natural successor of Lenin. What he did, he started a propaganda. And you would be surprised to know, right now we blame certain people that they use social media to manipulate people. But you would be surprised to know that Joseph Stalin was the one who hired photographers to edit the photographs at that time. So I forgot to attach those photographs in my slide. If you see what he did, he hired some technicians and photographs and asked them to edit all the Lenin photos and put himself in those photos. So he started that propaganda so that people start accepting him as the natural successor of Lenin, though he was not. There were some other people. If I get a chance, I would send you those photographs that you can see. And they are those photographs are also there in BBC's website. I'll send you the link after the class. You can see. And he was even Joseph Stalin was even a big mass murderer than Hitler. We refer to Hitler as a bigger, one of the biggest enemies of the world who killed Jews. Of course, Hitler was there, but the crimes that Joseph Stalin committed for 30 years, he was in power till 1953, and he set up labor camps. If you say something, you would be imprisoned for life, and such a rigorous punishment you would get in those labor camps. And he was like one of the biggest mass murderers that history had seen. And he ruled Russia till 53, from 1924 to 53. And I would like to tell you a famous incident about his death also. He died in sleeping, as we all know. While he was sleeping, uh, people were so scared to go into his room. Even his guards were so scared to go into his room that he did not wake up for quite a long hours. And they were so scared to enter and see what has happened to Joseph Stalin. And after, I guess, 24 hours or 30 hours, they actually entered with fear, and then they realized that he had died. And there are certain conspiracies theories related to his death also, so I don't want to get into that. So this was a brief about Russian Revolution from my side. There are a lot of interesting stories, as I keep on saying, but I think it's exact 45:40. Sir had permitted me the time till 5:40, and I think I have done the good justice with it. Sir, Jitendra, sir?
Yeah, sir. Thank
Yes,
you
sir.
so much. It's really interesting. Yeah. Any question do you have? Anybody? Yeah. Anything you want to ask? Like, this is
Hello,
five,
sir.
10 minutes. We can discuss the things. Yeah.
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah, sir. As far as Russian revolution is concerned, why Trotsky is not more talked about?
Sir, your voice is cracking.
Yeah, why Trotsky, Leon Trotsky, is not talked about as much as Lenin and Stalin? Because if you see, as far as I know, Trotsky was banished after death of uh, Vladimir Lenin. As you said, Stalin being a propagandist,
Yeah.
he edited the and why he's not being talked about even in like even in
Yeah.
on a very neutral discourse also.
Actually,
Nobody discusses.
Actually, if you see the Trotsky's contribution, if you look at the historical anecdotes also, his contribution was on the backstage. Whenever any planning was done, even if you look at the meeting that happened before the October Revolution was supposed to happen on 24th of October, Trotsky was the one who was leading everything from behind. But see, there are all kinds of players. If you look at a movie, there is always an actor which comes to the screen, but the director is always there in behind. So Trotsky was a director. Of course, we must give credit to him, and I believe that history should have been much more kind to this person rather than to Lenin and Joseph Stalin.
Yes. Yeah, yeah. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Yes, anyone else?
There is one question in the chat box, I think.
Okay, sir, could you please explain what
When
is serfdom? Okay, serfdom is nothing, it's just like a different form of labor. So, what you do, like, I have a land and I want somebody to come and work on my land, I would purchase that person. Okay, and if that person wants to go out of my clutches, or if he or she doesn't want to serve me, he or she has to pay me the money which I have already paid to buy him or her. So this was the kind of a concept. In India also we had somewhat similar concept earlier in 19th and 20th century, and even Devdasi and all, you might have heard about slave trade was also there. It was like the same kind of sir, could you please tell when he died in 1953?
any other question do you have?
Puya has asked me, Alexander. So there are so many figures. I mean, of Russian Revolution that I can talk about, but uh, a few names I actually forgot to talk, and they were actually the women when I started my one interesting thing I wanted to tell you to everyone about Russian Revolution. In February when. In February 1917, when the revolution was actually starting. So uh, the Tsar Nicholas was very sure that he is going to win this battle against people because army was with him. Okay, so 2 days before, when people had decided that we are going to storm the Winter Palace and all the buildings, women were the one who went to the army and pleaded that tomorrow or day after tomorrow or after 2 3 days we are going to launch this protest, and you should not fire on us because ultimately you will be suffering too. Okay, so this is the most important role of women which has been buried in the graveyard of history. And uh, i i I blame historians for that, because they have not been kind to the women. And we should, more talk about women, especially when we talked about French Revolution. Also, we talked about the role of women. And specifically, whenever I talk about any movement, I tend to focus more on those areas which are not talked about. Especially this, I think Ravi was asking about the Trotsky's contribution. And this contribution, actually, if you ask me, I would say that the more than Lenin, it was many women who contributed to Russian Revolution, because they were the one who led the protest in February. Sir, Jitendra sir, any other question from anyone?
Uh,
Sir,
impact
could
of
you?
Russian Revolution economy. Yeah.
Okay, on economy of what? Now, if you ask me what Russia impact of Russian Revolution on Indian economy, I can tell you that also. Our first 5-year plan, when Lenin came to power in 1917, he was the one who implemented this idea of planned economy. And in India, we follow 5-year plans. So the idea of 5-year plan was also inspired from Russia. Okay, so this was the question in 2015 in UPSC paper also that I wrote, that how the planning of Russia, motivated the planning in India. So Swati, your question is with respect to whose economy? India's economy. Our fundamental duties in our constitution is also inspired from Russia. Economy of what? Economy of Russia or economy of India or any other country? Swati, are you there? If you ask me about the what was the impact of Russian Revolution on the economy of Russia, you can see what happened in 1991. The Russia became a socialist state or the communist state in 1922, and it disintegrated. It all happened because its economy could not survive for more than 80 years or 70 odd years. They kept on competing with the capitalist regime and saying that we are the best ideology, we are the best political and economic system. But in reality, the Russia's economy went into doldrums. And let me tell you one thing: in 1991, after 1991, there is a famous incident that we call as shock therapy. Russia went into a shock therapy, or we, as in the world institutions, applied shock therapy to Russia. Impact on other countries' economy. Now, a Russian Revolution, if you ask me about impact on other countries' economy, there were many countries who took inspiration from Russia and its communist system, and they also implemented. The biggest example is our neighbor China, the Mao Revolution that happened in 1949. But if you look at the result of Mao Revolution, again it was disastrous. Because of his mistakes, millions of people died in uh, in China. And ultimately, what China did, they adopted in 1970s. They adopted their new economic policies, and they also became a capitalist country. Now, if somebody says that China is a communist country, it's a flawed preposition, because China is ruled by the Communist Party. It's no more a communist country. It's a hardcore capitalist country. Vietnam, Cuba, you see. Now, what happened to Cuba? It's a poor country. They socialized, they became the torchbearer of the socialism. Che Guevara, Fidel Castro, all these people from Cuba, they advocated socialism as something that is directly coming from God and everybody should be equal. Now you look at Cuba after the transfer of power to Raul Castro, and now Raul has also abdicated his power to somebody else, and now Cuba is also moving towards the capitalism, because Cuba has remained a poor country for a longer period of time. Except Cuban cigars and their cigarettes, there is nothing that is famous in Cuba, and those T-shirts that you see. So I would say that the impact of socialism on all the countries was extremely poor, and you have seen what happened to India also. we adopted the socialist model with a good intention, but till 1991, India also remained a poor country, and ultimately we had to go for a balance of payment crisis. We had to beg IMF, and we had to bring structural changes in our economy. So I'm not a big fan of socialism, though. What is the meaning of reds, greens, and whites in the context of Russia? See, reds meant the army, red guards or red army was the army of Bolsheviks. White was the army or the people who supported the aristocrats, nobility, or czar, and green were those people who were Democrats.